with the foundation of Israel, the Palestinian cause was used as an excuse, but the real motivation behind fighting Israel was a pan-Arabist agenda. So before it became, I mean, there was Islam, it was also influential, but the main motivation was not an Islamic caliphate. At first, it was a pan-Arabist. It was mostly secular. It was more of a racist Arab superiority against anti-Jewish ethnicity, not anti-Jewish.
No, it was not racist. Not racist. It was mainly, the people who started the Arab-Israeli conflict, like pan-Arabism versus Israel, were actually communist, socialist, communist background. Yes. So yes, they were secular. They were not religious at all. But the thing is that it's not racism, but it's more about us, the Western Bloc, versus them, the Western Bloc.
Right. Yes. So the understanding was, if we want to make a pan-Arabist, empire or unity, create an Arab country that is all Arabs are united, the Western Bloc has created this tiny little country in the middle of it, in the middle of our Arab empire, that is basically making this not feasible. So we have to remove this Western tumor from the middle of all of this for us to be able to create this pan-Arabist empire. So Jamal Abdel Nasser was basically the leader of that movement, and Israel basically humiliated him and crushed him and defeated. So that movement was pushed aside, and the pan-Arabist movement was a failure. So then the Islamists took over, and now then the anti-Israel agenda was, because instead of creating a pan-Arabist empire, the goal was to create an Islamic caliphate to be a block against the Western empire. And that was basically the same narrative, that this Zionist tumor is in the middle of not a pan-Arabist empire, but an Islamic empire, an Islamic caliphate. And now we need to remove this tumor so that we could create an Islamic caliphate. And that project mostly failed because the leaders of these Arab countries, Sunni Arab countries, became closer and closer to realizing that, okay, this Israel is not going anywhere, and we need to be able to have stability in this region. So they started becoming closer and closer to Israel. So now the third phase is, so the pan-Arabism failed, the Muslim Brotherhood, Islamic caliphate, everything, all that failed. The third phase is an Islamic imamate. The Shia, so it's now the Islamic Republic of Iran. So where the pan-Arabists and the Muslim Brotherhood and even ISIS failed, now the Shia empire, starting from Tehran, they are basically the major players. And they, instead of making an Islamic caliphate, they want to make an Islamic imamate, and they think basically Israel is a tumor again in this region, agents of the West that is basically in the middle of all of this, making it impossible to make this entire place into an empire, and they have to remove it for that to make them possible. And that's where we are right now, and that's why, as we are speaking, there's war right now between the Islamic Republic and Israel, and missiles are being exchanged and stuff like that. So do you think this is an accurate representation?
Yes, I agree with you, of course, especially the last part when you said that. I believe what's happening right now, the whole scene from the very beginning, by the way, it's an Iran or the Iranian regime, the Islamic regime in Iran, not Iran, because the Iranian people are amazing. Actually, they are fighting also a very tough fight against this Islamic regime. So the Islamic regime of Iran versus the West. And in the middle, and this war is happening on the chessboard of the Middle East. So it's the Islamic regime of Iran versus the West versus the US on the chessboard of the Middle East. Of course, Israel is a key issue. Arabs are a key issue. I mean, but for Iran or the Iranian regime to win this war, they also decided to capitalize on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, because they know this is the trauma of the region. This is the thing that they can really use to gain supporters, to appear as champions, but
right.
Yeah, but yes, as you said earlier, Armin, actually, if they really care for the good of the Palestinians, if they really care for a better future for the Israeli-Palestinian peace, they would not be doing what they are doing right now.
So based on what we're saying, I think the given the history and how Israel has managed to gain its security and safety, the only way that the only solution, I think, is the toppling of the Islamic Republic in Iran. I think that we will not have any resolution. Like, I don't think there's any form of negotiation or peace treaty that you could write on paper. I don't think you could negotiate with Hamas. I don't think you could negotiate with Hezbollah. I don't think you could negotiate with the Islamic Republic of Iran. Israel has shown that every time it managed to bring peace and stability for its people and people in the region is by defeating its enemies. It was by defeating the Jamal Abdel Nasser. It was by defeating, the way Israel and Egypt got a peace treaty is by victory in war. It wasn't. Yes. I mean, I always tell people, like, look, at World War One. They as a result, they decided to write on a piece of paper that, well, hey, let's not fight anymore. And look where that didn't stop war. That World War Two started right after that. But World War Two brought many years of peace after it because the Allies just crushed their enemies. Like, that's how you bring peace, not by appeasement, not by negotiation, but by destroying the people who want to bring war. You don't. If the Islamic Republic of Iran is telling the world that their goal is to annihilate Israel, any form of negotiation and appeasement is just delaying the war to another day where they're stronger. So the only solution for peace is to defeat the Islamic Republic of Iran. What do you think? Yeah.
And the thing also is that when you think about all these regimes and proxies that are leading this war against Israel right now, it's not a secret that what they're doing is called Islamic jihad. It's a jihad in their perspective. And jihad has no end. It does not end with a peace treaty. And when they go and say, let's negotiate about ceasefire, let's negotiate about anything like that, what they mean actually is having what we call in Arabic or Islam, hudna, just a temporary pause to the war, so we can rearm, regroup, and come back and continue killing you. It's not about really. It's not about peace. It's not about let's have peace, let's coexist. This is how they think, and unfortunately, when on the other side, the people, I mean, in the West, in Western, like the United States, for example, when it says let's have a ceasefire, let's bring all sides to talk, they don't understand this difference in the mindset between Israel, which wants to negotiate because it wants to achieve peace, long-lasting peace, while these Islamists, they don't negotiate about peace. They negotiate about, please give us a break until we rearm and come back to you. This is how they think.
This is what the world doesn't understand. They think because Israel doesn't accept a ceasefire, so Israel is on the side of war. But that the ceasefire is just basically a break for them to become more powerful, because they will fight again. Yes.
Also, let me add, negotiating with a terrorist organization is a mistake. Terrorist organization, the only way to deal with a terrorist organization is to defeat it, to get it to the point that it is too weak to do anything. Actually, negotiating with Hamas, what are you negotiating with Hamas? Hamas committed a massacre and exposed tens of thousands of Palestinians to war, and who are now suffering this war. So what are you negotiating exactly with Hamas? Do you think they will all the time be merciful and decide just let's end war, let's be peaceful? I think all these negotiations were mainly meant, I mean, the ceasefire negotiations between that the United States called for, and Egypt and Israel and Qatar participated in as mediators. If you track how it started, actually it started with a call from Qatar. Qatar needed at that time, and it was at the very, very early days of the war, And Qatar at that time, because, well, they did not expect that Israel's response will be that strong, they all of a sudden thought like, okay, Hamas is going to be crushed, so let's throw a lifeline to Hamas. And for Qatar, the best lifeline to throw is to bring Egypt, to bring the US, and make an alliance of moderators and say, okay, let's discuss ceasefire. Let's work on ceasefire and blame Israel for not accepting to do ceasefire and defending itself, actually. So what we're seeing now is, once again, a twisting of the narrative, a very old game that they have been playing for so long. I mean, Qatar, Al Jazeera, and this axis of evil, they have been playing for a while, and any negotiations of this kind is just a waste of time and waste of energy. And all the involved parties were simply doing it to play for their own domestic audience. The United States, there is an elections in the United States, and the Biden administration wanted to appear like they are doing something good in the region. In Egypt, they wanted, as you know, Egypt always wants to appear as the champion of the Palestinian cause. So they participated in this with this purpose, like to gain or regain their lost role as a leading power in the region, in Egypt, I mean. For Qatar wants the interest of Hamas, wanted to rescue Hamas from the military force of Israel, or from the grip of Israel. So they came up with this ceasefire negotiations thing that has failed and was doomed to fail from day one.